Welcome in, everybody, to the Slating Rink. This will be the DFS Week 1 show where we dive into the Week 1 slate. We're just going to do the main slate this week, so all the games on Sunday, the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock games. Future shows and future weeks, we will dive into the showdown slates. I'm not doing any showdown slates this week. Maybe throw out a Monday night showdown slate later on this week with my Bears and the Vikings. But this week is just strictly going to be Week 1 showdown slate. We'll go over each game, what I like, what I don't like, and just my overall view of the game. And then at the end, we'll give you my Millie Maker lineup for Week 1. So let's get into this. So first of all, when you get into your DFS slates, when you have a main slate, all 12 games, what I like to do, there's really a couple strategies. You want to try to hone into a couple games that you think will shoot out. And the games that I kind of like are games that maybe the touches, the targets are really concentrated with a team. There's nothing worse than, and we'll talk about the Packers later on, where that game environment, if you want to do a Packers Jordan Love stack, we don't know where that ball's going, who he's going to target. A lot of injuries on that wide receiver core. So those are games I'm not really looking to get into. So when you're doing a DFS slate, especially for these Millie Makers where there's a huge participation in it, 150 max entry, those types. What you want to do is you can still play some of the popular plays, some of the good plays, obviously, but you want to get different little ways, and you don't want to get too different. You still want to look to play the best plays on the slate, but you do want to get a little bit different so you're not splitting with a lot of different people on that slate. And the other thing you want to make sure there is correlation. You want, like I said, we'll get into it. We target the games that you think will shoot out, do a stack from that game, do a run back from that game, and we'll talk about those two terminologies in a little bit. And then you also want to maybe pick a secondary game that you maybe want to do a stack, or a couple one-offs that you just like their matchups. Because if you can pick the right game or two that just goes off for, like a 40-39 game, something like that. If you get the right game that goes off, it's easier to be right about one or two things than try to be right about 7 different players in 7 different environments. So that's why stacking is pretty important when you're playing DFS. With a larger slate like this with 12 games, there's a lot of ways to go. You're probably not going to have as much concentrated ownership as you would on if you're maybe just doing like the 4 o'clock slate where there's only 4 games. So you want to kind of watch what's going to be popular that you think. There are other sites you can pay to get ownership. There's other really good DFS content creators that will kind of cover, and they've got good tools in place to kind of give you a pretty accurate ownership. So what we'll do here, I'm just going to go over every game, kind of talk about what I would play, what I'm going to pass, and just my prognosis on each game. So these first 3 games are games that I am really not interested in for a couple of different reasons we'll go over. So the first one, the Raiders at the Patriots. I do think the Patriots this year can be a pretty good play for DFS. I do like May. I like Vrabel being in there. I believe Travion Henderson can be a very productive fantasy player, and I can see him having some just ceiling games as well. The Raiders, I'm going to hold off on and see kind of where they're going. Brock Bowers is going to be the target hog there. Don't really know what else is going to happen. Are they going to run Genty a ton? How's this offense going to look? So I'm going to kind of be a wait and see approach with the Raiders. But this game, I think, is just kind of a mid game. This could be a game, I think, in about 5 to 10% of times you play it, could be a high scoring game. I just don't see that this week. There's a lot of unknowns with it. So The plays I would have, I like Drake May at 5,500. Just really who you're going to pair him with, though. Hunter Henry at tight end is decent, but I just don't know where the passing is going to go. You would think Diggs, but I'm just not sure. I do like May's upside. Trevor Henderson's at a good price at 5,500 as well. I think he could be a little popular. And again, I don't know how they're going to use him. Are they going to utilize Stevenson early in the season because he is a veteran? And on the Raiders side, I think Bowers is always going to be a good play every week. 6,500 is not a horrible price. And you'll see it usually in the first week of DFS and this is going to be for DraftKings. The pricing is really soft. Like you can pretty much whoever you want to get in your lineups, you can pretty much get them in on week one. I think a lot of the DraftKings, FanDuel, those type of places like to do a little softer pricing, so to get people interested playing that first week and playing the people they want. But Bowers is always going to be a good play. This will probably be the cheapest he'll be all season. If you really want to take a dart throw, Donta Thornton is a guy, but again, I don't think you need to really find the absolute bottom of the barrel guys this week. I think you can play a solid lineup without really diving in to the under 4,000 wide receivers. And again, I am not sure what this Raiders offense is going to look like, where the target shares are going to go. So I'm kind of staying off this game. I am passing on Ashton Genty. I don't like his price at 7,000. I think a lot of people may want to take him this week as he's the rookie, highly touted. And again, I don't know how they're going to use this offense in Las Vegas. So I'm really just staying off this game. Again, too many unknowns, new coaches, new pieces. Give me a week or two to kind of see how they're going to utilize their players. So next game, I am pretty much completely off. It's the Steelers at the Jets. I just think this entire game is going to be very low scoring. It's going to be run heavy, which means it should be very few drives, or if it's run heavy, they can't convert on third down. There's going to just be a lot of 3 and outs, which is not good for fantasy scoring. They're both defenses are good. So again, you can play these defenses, but the problem I think in this game is I would be surprised if either team throws the ball 30 times. So when you put a DFS defense in, what you're kind of looking for is a team that's going to create turnovers. And most of those turnovers happen when their opponent is getting back to pass 40, 50 times a game. That leads to more interceptions, more sacks, fumble recoveries, those type of things. This game, I think, is going to be just an old school NFL ground and pound game. If you want to get different, I think Justin Fields at 5,400 is interesting because anytime you can get a running quarterback at a very low ownership, and I don't think Fields is going to be owned at all. That is interesting. If you do take Fields, I don't know if I would run him naked. I would probably go with and pair him with Garrett Wilson, because I think if people are going to play Fields, they're going to play him naked. So I think adding Wilson to a field stack would make your lineup unique and different. And I think if Fields is going to throw the ball, I would imagine about 50% of the targets are going to go Garrett Wilson's way. So I'm just completely off this game in terms of a fantasy aspect of it. Same with this game. This game, I think people the over under is one of the higher games. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I think the Rams and the Texans defenses are both good. The Texans offensive line is banged up and is just not good at all. I'm not scared of an aging Nick Chubb in the backfield. So I think the Rams, who have a very good pass rush, can get to Stroud. He's not super mobile. And I just don't think the Texans are going to be able to run the ball. And so I think the Rams can keep the Texans probably under 20. And I'm not looking for games where teams are going to score under 20 in my fantasy. And then on the flip side, I think the Texans defense is underrated. Stafford's dealing with that back injury. And we know Stafford is good for pick sixes. I think this game's going to be a little bit lower scoring than what is expected. If I was going to take a side, I would probably take the Rams side just because I like the weapons more and it more be of a passing game. But I'm really just doing a pass on this game. Again, the two good defenses. I think there are better options at similar prices for guys like Nakua, Kyron Williams, those types of things. So again, I'm off this game. When you're doing a DFS on a larger slate, like I said, you've got to pick and choose where you want to have your exposure, and just those games I'm not having any exposure to. I may have a Texans defense because of their price at 2,400. Which we'll talk about when I talk about my lineup, where you want to kind of look for defenses that are at the lower end, because defenses are really a crapshoot. You just really don't know. Random defensive touchdowns, those types of things happen. So just because the defense is high priced does not mean they are the best play on a slate. Here are three games that I am not really targeting, but I think can be ones you can stack. So the first one are the Giants at the Commanders. I do like Neighbors, and I do like Eckler. I think Eckler probably will get the lion's share of the carries, and he will most definitely get a lot of targets out of the backfield. I can see Eckler having a 5 to 7 reception game, which would be huge in DFS. And if he finds the end zone, that would be huge. I just like this Giants defense. And I don't think Washington's going to be able to move the ball like people think they will be. McLaurin's holdout, just trying to figure out these pieces. So I am off on the Commanders week 1 for those reasons. But I do, if you want to throw Neighbors, Eckler in, I'm off on Bill Crosby-Merritt. I think long-term fantasy-wise, I think he will be the RB1 in Washington. So you could maybe after a week or two, if he's not getting a lot of the carries, maybe make a trade for him for down the road. I think Jaden Daniels is a phenomenal player, but I am not a guy that's going to play the most expensive quarterback on a slate, especially on a larger slate like 12 games. When you're talking a 2-game slate, a 4-game slate, then obviously there are different rules when you're playing those slates, and we'll talk about those later on in the year when we get to those kinds of slates. Again, I just think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I just trust the Giants defense. They're good, but the Giants offense is bad. A sneaky stack could be a Russ to Neighbors. I think they could connect on a couple long balls. So that could be sneaky, especially if the Giants get down and have to throw. But I'm not really playing anyone in this game. The Bengals-Browns, I think, is going to be one of these next two games are the two most popular games I think that people are going to play. I think people want to play this Bengals offense and this is probably the only week you're going to be able to really stack this with. Jamar is the highest priced player at 8,100. Chase Brown's at 6,600. T. Higgins at 64, and Joku at 47. You also have Joe Burrow at 69. So you can get this stack in. If you want to do a Burrow Chase Higgins stack, I don't mind it. I don't know if people are going to double stack the Bengals. I think if you're going to play the Bengals, I think that's how you play it. I think you double stack Burrow with Chase and Higgins. The other way I think you want to play, if you want to play this Bengals-Browns game, is just take Chase Brown. This could be a game where the Bengals move the ball, but Chase Brown finds the end zone twice, and maybe Burrow only throws 1 or 2 touchdowns, throws for like 225. So Chase Brown could be a contrarian play if you want a piece of this Bengals game. I think a lot of people are going to go to the Flacco Judy or Flacco and Joku, or maybe do a double stack with Flacco, because the Bengals defense is bad. And the Bengals defense is bad. And I've said this on some of my other shows. I don't think they're as bad as advertised. If you take out the 3 games, the 2 games against the Ravens and the 1 game against the Eagles last year, they moved from a bottom 10, which they were the 7th worst defense in points per game, and then they dropped down to 20-21 area. So those 3 games really skewed the Bengals point total, and that's really it. If teams aren't going to score touchdowns, they're not that useful most of the time in DFS. So I am off the Browns totally. I do not like the Flacco stack. He's old, and I think the Bengals can do enough to keep them from putting up 25, 30 points. And I just don't think this is a good game to target. But if you are, I would be totally on the Bengals side. But I think the Browns defense is good enough. They're decent. They could get to Burrow. who is a statue back there, and their Bengals O-line is not good. So, and again, I think this is going to be a popular game, so I'm going to avoid that one. Same with the Lions-Packers game. This may be the most popular game environment people play on the schedule because it has a very high game total, and there's a lot of big name players to play for DFS. You know, Gibbs at 7,700 and Williams at 5,500 would be the plays on the Lions side that I would go to. I don't mind Jordan Love's price at 6,100. But I think that the Packers are going to rely again on Josh Jacobs a lot with their receiving core a little banged up, younger. I just, and again, if you're going to stack Love in Green Bay, who is he going to? Like, I don't know who he's going to throw to. I'm not a big Matthew Golden guy. I don't think he's going to come in and be a top 20, 24 wide receiver this year. His metrics coming out of college weren't those of receivers that have been elite from the get-go. So if Golden's not it, they got Tucker Kraft, you've got Dobbs can play, but they're not really great options. And I think if Love does throw 3-4 touchdowns, I think it's going to be spread out. I think it could be spread out through all of their receivers. There's not really a good, I think, stacking option for Green Bay. I do love Sun God. 7,100 price is not horrible, but I think Green Bay's defense is sneaky good and could be a top 5 defense this year. I think they can cover and hang with St. Brown. If Micah plays, I think there's be a good pass rush. So I'm just off this game because I think it's going to be popular, and I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because I think both defenses are good. It's a divisional battle, so I think this game could end up like the Thursday night game that happened earlier this week with the Cowboys-Eagles, where it's like a 24-20 game. None of the like Barkley was fine, but none of the receivers outside of Lamb really did much. And it was, if you had Javonte Williams, then you had the nuts in that game. But I think this game could be very similar, where it'll be a good game to watch, but I don't think it's going to have the fireworks of a huge fantasy output. And if it is, I really think it's going to be spread out. And I'm not sure how the new coordinators in Detroit are going to utilize the running backs. I think they probably will lean more on Gibbs this year and not as much of a split. And I think they want to spread the field more with Williams. So Gibbs and Williams would be some one-offs of this game I would play. Maybe Jacobs, just because he's always going to be a volume play. But I'm staying off this game along with as the Bengals-Browns game because I think it's going to be a little bit too popular. And I don't think it's going to be as concentrated targets, touches as you think it would be, except for maybe Josh Jacobs. These games are games I want pieces of, but I really do not want to stack. The Cardinals-Saints game, the Cardinals should just have an onslaught. The Saints, on paper, should be the worst team in the league this year. I don't think they have very many good fantasy options this year. So I am out on the Saints, any offense of the Saints, and I like some of the pieces on Arizona. I think the Saints defense is not going to be great either. I think James Conner could have a multiple touchdown day, even if he does not have over 100 yards. I think they are going to have some short fields. I think that they'll rely on Conner a lot. I think he's going to at least score one. He could have 2 touchdowns. I do also like McBride at tight end. He's probably going to be popular. And I don't mind Marvin Harrison Jr. at that price. Again, if this was later on in the year, Michael Wilson and Zay Jones are very cheap. And if you needed to find cheap pieces, because later on in the year, you're going to have guys at 9,000, 8,700, 8,500, a lot of the main guys. So those guys would be plays on either a short slate. I would like them if you're doing a showdown of this game. If you're doing a showdown of this game, I would do a 5-1 Cardinals Saints. And I think I would utilize either Michael Wilson or Zay Jones in that. But I don't think you need that price savers in this week. So I don't mind piece of this. I would probably only grab one piece. And in order, it'd probably be Connor, then McBride, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. And really just because I have a lot of receivers that I like similarly priced or lower priced than Harrison, so I would take McBride at the tight end slot. This game is a game where I don't mind any part of the Broncos. If you wanted to do a game stack with a Nix, Sutton, Ingram, it is very affordable. Sutton 6,000, Ingram's 4,500. That fills a tight end spot. Nix is 6,300. He's got some rushing ability, and I don't even mind throwing in the Broncos D with it. But I don't mind even doing a Broncos defense, J.K. Dobbins mini stacks. I think the Broncos against a rookie quarterback, even though we do believe that Cam Ward will be good, I think this defense is just a big ask for Cam Ward to come into. So I don't mind a defense running back stack. And I think Dobbins is going to be the goal line guy. I think they're going to get Harvey some opportunities, maybe in third downs, 2 minute, a couple here and there. But I think they're going to rely on Dobbins early on as the veteran. And Dobbins looked pretty solid last year early on as well. So I don't mind doing a Broncos Dobbins mini stack if you have as a secondary stack. But I don't mind the Nick Sutton Ingram. I think if you do the Bronco stack, I think you do a double stack with them. I'm going to pass on Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard in season long, best ball, those type of things is going to be a really good asset. And I think he's going to be pretty cheap on most slates. I just don't see him doing much against this Bronco defense. I don't think the Titans score more than 14 points this game. And again, I like Denver because I think Denver could score the most points on the entire slate this week. I can see them scoring over 40. I can see a defense getting a touchdown as well. And I can see also, though, the fantasy points being spread around where, Dobbins has a touchdown, Sutton has a touchdown, maybe Nix runs one in. Harvey, I don't think that you could see a Cortland Sutton 3 touchdown game. You could see a Dobbins 2 touchdown, maybe an Ingram 2 touchdown at the goal line. So there's a lot this Broncos team can do. So I think you should get pieces of them, especially if you're playing in a multi-entry 20 or a 150 max. Then I would be sprinkling in Denver guys all over the place, either as one-offs or as a mini stack or as a full stack. This last game, too, I think is going to be interesting, especially now that you got the McCaffrey news that he has a calf strain, and so he is limited, could be questionable. I think he plays, but if he does not play, I think Brian Robinson is going to be a huge piece that people are going to slide in, and I just don't see that. So if McCaffrey misses, I'm not going to just automatically jam Brian Robinson in my lineup because they are not the same players. But this game, I think both defenses are good. It's a divisional rivalry. And I think San Francisco, the touches will be concentrated. I think you've got Kittle, McCaffrey if he plays, and then Ricky Pearsall. I think those are the three. I don't mind playing all of those. I do have Ricky Pearsall as a pass. His price is great, but I think he could be, if he's not the most popular play on the slate, he's probably going to be top 3 to top 5. And I don't like taking a lower priced receiver if I don't need the salary saver that's going to be that highly owned. So my play that I love is just George Kittle. I think this could be one of those games where they utilize Kittle a lot in the passing game, and I can see him going for 130 and 2 touchdowns. Both Seattle running backs are interesting, and they're both at good prices. I think this would be the week if you're going to play Kenneth Walker III. He's at 5,900, which is a great price. Play him, see how the injury goes. I do think they will utilize Charbonnet a lot this year. I think they'll probably use them both in maybe a 60-40 role, a lot to maybe keep Kenneth Walker a little bit healthier. They both finished as top 30 running backs last year, so I think they could run the ball 40 times. And because I think the weather's going to be a little bit rainy in Seattle as well. So the only piece I really am looking at on this slate is I do love Kittle at 5,800. in the tight end spots. I think Bowers, McBride, and Ingram get a lot of attention. I think Kittle kind of gets lost in that as he's kind of in the middle pricing for them. But these are games that I do like pieces on, and the only game I think that I would stack would be Denver, because again, I'm not confident in Arizona to stack them because it is still Kyler Murray, and again, it could just be a James Conner onslaught getting all the fantasy points. So these last three games, I think, are the games you want to target this week. And it's going to be in order of third to first for me favorite. The Bucks-Falcons game, I think, along with the Lions, Packers, and then the Bengals-Browns game, those I think will be probably the three most played games. I love the Bucks. I think the Bucks can do whatever they want against the Falcons, and I think with their wide receiver injuries, that the touches are all going to be concentrated between Bucky Irvin, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka is a core play for me. I am putting him in. He's at a great price at 4,600, and with him being at that price, you can throw whoever you want. I did lineups where I had him in with a Bengal stack. It works. You're not having to go diving in the thrift store bins to find super cheap guys. So Egbuka, I think, is going to be huge this week. I think he sees a lot of targets. I think he gets over 100 yards. I know I am pretty confident he'll find the end zone at least once. So I do like Egbuka this week. I do not mind a Baker, Egbuka, Evans, Egbuka, Irving, Evans. I don't know if I'd play all four, but if Tampa scores 40, 50 points, that would be a very unique lineup build, having four Buccaneers in the lineup. I'm kind of out on Atlanta, especially their studs. That's basically Drake London, and that's it. The rest of their receiving core is really banged up. Darnell Mooney is going to be out for at least 4 weeks. I don't have confidence in any other receiver on that side, and I think Tampa then, knowing that, hey, we just need to stop Drake London in the passing game, are going to do all they can to really bring people over, not let him have one-on-one coverage. And so Pitts would be interesting, but again, I don't know if you want to stomach a Kyle Pitts lineup in the first week. And again, Penix Envy is still an unknown. They ran one of the top 3 plays per game in the 3 starts that he was in at the end of last year. He looked decent. He did not look great. He's not a running quarterback. I think he's one of those guys that if he had to get out, he could scramble for 8 yards, those types of things. But I'm not sure what he's going to be. And I think with all the injuries, he may try to force things to London too often. And I think Tampa could win a lopsided game here. So I do like a Tampa stack, but I think it would be very, very popular. But Egbuka, if I'm making lineups, is going to be a core for me. Another game that I want pieces for and is this Dolphins-Colts game. I think the Dolphins defense is really bad. I think the Colts can expose them in a lot of different ways. I don't think a lot of people want to do a Danny Dimes stack, which I don't mind because Dimes is price. And I don't think it's going to be very popular because I don't think people are going to go to Pittman. I think a lot of people will go to Warren, which is the only reason he's on my pass list. I think he could be another very popular tight end. But if you are doing a Colts stack, I don't mind Danny Dimes with Warren and then Downs. I think those two match up well. If you want to skip Warren and go Downs, Pittman as well. If you just want to go Danny Dimes and Downs or Warren, I don't mind that at all. One of the guys that I would be a core play would be Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor has a monster game this week. I could see him rushing for over 125 yards. I could see him getting a 40 or 50-plus yard touchdown run, or just a run of more than 40 or 50 yards. And I think he's the one guy this week. If someone's going to score 3 touchdowns, I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor. So he's going to be as much of a core play as I could in a lineup. Again, I think this is going to be high scoring. I think the Dolphins can score and move the ball. The Colts defense is decent, but they're not world beaters. So I think a sneaky stack that you could do that I don't think anyone's going to be playing is a Tua and then pairing him with two of either Waddle, Achane, or Hill. I'm kind of off on Hill. That injury scaring me. I know Achane's got an injury, but I think because of that, he could be low owned. And if Achane plays, his price is not cheap, but it's like I said, you can get anybody in here. If Achane is under 5% owned because of that injury, and people don't think the Dolphins are going to be good, he could be huge for you today. So that's a nice run back. I like Achane and Waddle as run backs if you're doing a Colt stack, but I do like getting one or two pieces from here. And Jonathan Taylor is going to be, spoiler alert, he is going to be in my Millie lineup. And the last game is the game that I am targeting because I think of all the games that can be high scoring and have the high implied team game total, this is probably the one I think is going to either be the least owned or not used as much. I think this is going to be more of a secondary stack to like a Bucks or Broncos main stack. So I like this game because I don't think either defense is any good. I think both offenses are decent and can move the ball. So I just think this is one of those games where both teams are going to be able to score at will. And all the prices are relatively cheap. It's only Brian Thomas Jr. and Chuba Hubbard are the only ones that are over $6,000. So I like both quarterbacks here, both at good prices. I am going to take a chance on ETN because I don't think anyone's going to play any running backs in this game. And I think ETN is the best running back they had. He had more fantasy points last year than Bigsby. And people talk about how good of a year Bigsby had. Oh, take Bigsby this, tank Bigsby that. And he really wasn't that impressive. I think he had a couple of nice runs. He played well early on. I think ETN, if you're going to take Liam Cohen, put him with the Jags, he's like, who on this team is my Bucky Irving? I think ETN matches what Bucky Irving can do the most. ETN had the most receptions out of the backfield last year, and it wasn't even close. Bigsby only had 9 receptions out of the backfield, and I think they are going to want to do that in Jacksonville. So I think ETN could be the bell cow of this offense long term, and I do like him this week because I think nobody's going to be on ETN at 5,400. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be very popular, but I still like him. I know there's the talk that Trevor Lawrence, when Brian Thomas Jr. had his big games, it was the last 5 games of the year, and that was when Lawrence was out. I think they're gonna. I think with Liam Cohen in tow, I think they're gonna find ways to get Brian Thomas Jr. the ball, and he is good enough. So I do like that stack with Trevor Lawrence. I do not like Travis Hunter. I don't know how they're going to use him, and I just don't know. So I don't know if I want to spend $5,000 on Travis Hunter, and he maybe, even if he runs 75% of the offensive plays, how many targets is he going to get? Is he going to get 5 targets? I don't know. 5 targets, unless he breaks one loose, that's not. I don't want that. And so I'm going to just go to the Brian Thomas Jr. I do like, if you want to go cheap at tight end, Jatavian Sanders is interesting because Carolina just really has no pass catchers outside of Tet McMillan and Xavier Legette, and Xavier Legette is fine. So Sanders could be a sneaky play. He could be he's a big tight end. They really like him there, and so I think he could be a goal line target inside the 5 for them. And then I do like Tet. I think Tet could see 10 plus targets in this game. Again, if it's going to be a shootout. So I do like Tet as well. This is the game I am stacking. So if we look at, all right, so it moved off of that. Let me see if I just make this the main screen. Maybe not. I don't know. Trying new things here. Yeah, it still didn't work. All right, so I thought on the PowerPoint it looked better, so I did not make the background there on that. So here's the Slating Rink official Millie Maker play. It is actually in DraftKings right now. It is Trevor Lawrence as my quarterback. I have Taylor and Travis Etienne as my running backs, Brian Thomas Jr. So I have a Jag stack with Lawrence, ETN and Thomas. I think ETN can get some work out of the backfields, and I think if people are stacking this Jags team, I don't think it's going to be with an ETN Thomas stack. I do love me some Emeka Egbuka this week. I like Josh Downs. I saw somewhere where the Dolphins are just, their secondary is just decimated. So I think they've got their fifth string nickel corner is going to be covering the slot. So I think Josh Downs could have a huge, huge day on a couple plays. I love George Kittle. I'm putting Devon A-Chain right now in the flex. I'm going to monitor that. He is a 1 o'clock as well. I don't always like putting 1 o'clock players in the slot, but the only 4 o'clock guy I have is George Kittle and the Broncos defense. So A-Chain is one. Depending how I want to go, I could move off him depending on what his status looks like. And I'm taking the Broncos defense. I know it's the highest priced defense. I don't like taking the highest priced defense on most slates, but I think that game could get out of hand. The Titans may have to throw the ball more. The only other team I think I would put in there would be the Texans, but I'm going with the Broncos with that. That gives me zero salary, which I also don't like to do. Is I do like to leave a little salary on the table, but I think with a 12-game slate, I think it's okay sometimes to use all your salary because there are so many options that the lineup probably is not going to be duped, especially if you do a different one play on a stack or just a one-off. So this could change by Sunday. And if I'm moving off anybody, it's going to probably be, I may move off Brian Thomas. I may move off Devon A-Chain. I don't know. It just depends when news comes out. But if I'm staying with the Jag stack, that's what I'm doing. The other flip I could do is go to a Panther stack and leave ETN, but then go Bryce Young, Ted McMillan, which would be an interesting stack because I would have two rookie wide receivers in that stack. So that is the show for the day. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, I will be coming in each week with the main slate. I will try to sometimes put in some shorter slates. They'll have afternoon and first game slates too. I am going to do showdown slates. I just did not have the time to do that this week with the Thursday, Friday games. So I will most likely not do a Sunday night game, but I could do a Monday night showdown slate. So the plan with this show is to do a main slate and then hit the primetime game showdown slates, those types of things as well. So thanks for joining, and we now return you back to a forward all slate.